try and give you the shortened version, but obviously my name is Ricky Waddell. I'm the head coach of Academy Braves first team, but I help oversee the academy and various different parts of the club. My history in brief was I've always kicked the ball since I was small, and I got my first break at Stennismuir when I was 15, and I got sold to Falkirk when I was 16 actually. And that was when pro youth were just starting, so I was playing for the under 16s, under 17s at that point there. And I made my debut in Falkirk's first team at 17. I was 4 years at Falkirk, and I had a professional career spanning, I think, about 6 or 7 different clubs, 3 different countries. I played in Scotland, obviously. I played in Singapore, South Asia, a little bit in Malaysia, and I finished my career off in what's called the USL Pro League, which is the second division in the USA. Which takes me on to my coaching. I started coaching when I was probably mid-20s, just taking grassroots types of teams and classes and things like that. And I worked my way through the badges, and I currently I'm very fortunate to be sitting at the top level of coaching qualifications with the UEFA Pro licence at the moment, but I'm always keen to learn. I'm considering doing a university course on coaching when I get a bit of time. I just love learning, I love developing myself in that regard. Absolutely fundamentally important, because that knowledge, that learning experience, that learning development experience of the coaches have to go through the pathway. And they might not go right the way through to UEFA Pro or even A licence, but they need to have the intelligence and football brain to reflect on their own decision making, their own coaching philosophies, and the way they coach. So it's the whole thing's about developing coaches, developing players. So it's fundamentally important. I think exactly that, and it's about time again. You've got to give it the right time, you've got to set the foundations, and I think we probably tried to run before we could walk initially 3-4 years ago, but now we're in a fantastic place now. But if you do look at Celtic, a very good model, more traditional type of model, spent a fair bit of money. Edinburgh City before that, not so much, but they had a good spirit about them. Obviously Bonnyrigg, again, not spent the world, but had a lot of those players were together for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. So that just shows you that togetherness is real key. They're not so much on promoting their youth, but hopefully they go up and sustain themselves. And I think in our league there's some really ambitious clubs as well. Like I said, the whole club is about progression. The whole philosophy is underpinned by progression and having that ability and potential to progress. So we think all the young players that we brought in, ones that I knew, as you'd mentioned, from my time at Rangers, etc., St Mirren, that I know they've got, maybe they've took a couple of knocks on their journey in football, but I know for sure that they can go and progress, hopefully as part of Caledonian Braves. So progression is key, and it has been moulded from my time working in youth football. But I do believe in developing players, but also developing people, like you're saying about C licence for the coaches, but also the physiotherapist. It's all about how can we get better, how can we improve as a staff. Each week, each month, coming over challenges, learning from our previous experiences, and trying to progress as a group, whether you're a player or a member of staff. They're now at what you would maybe call the nitty-gritty, where they're getting closer to the first team level. They've still got a bit of time, so that time has got to be given to the players for sure. So they've got to be nurtured in that in this coming season. But it is an important season. They're part of a pathway towards semi-professional, professional football, that we give out professional contracts. So what we like to think we're professional in every aspect of the club. So for the young players, they've got to look at that and realise, well, if they're a left back, they need to look at their current left back and say, right, what can I do in the next 2 years to get myself in the team? Because that's what I want to do, that's my ambition, to go and do that. And if they apply themselves, they've got the right mindset, and they want to move away from this, what I would call maybe a boys club mentality, where they're playing for fun, and I want players to play for fun for sure and enjoy themselves, but there's also an objective at the end, because that's what happens at professional clubs. The objective is to get young players into the first team. So the players need to realise that they need to step up, but not to be lambasted with poor performances, but looked at in an educated coaching way, where it's got progression at the heart, where you know the decisions are getting made on these players on the basis of how they've performed, what's their attributes and what's their potential. I like to think where we're at with the 06s and 08s is coming towards more performance related. So there's grassroots, playing for participation and playing for fun, but then there's performance related. And there's obviously elite academies, Rangers, Celtic, etc., which are trying to drive their players forward at that moment in time into top level football. We are not there yet, but we are performance related. So it's got to do with, you need to earn the right to start the game. You need to earn the right to get a contract. You need to earn the right to keep in for the next season at Caledonia Braves. So that's what separates us. But what we do have is a holistic point of view where it's about the player and the individual, and we're going to try and nurture that player and individual to the best of our ability. But we always have to be, and I mentioned the word before, we always have to be authentic and honest in our assessment of those guys. But if we create the right culture, those players who maybe don't get through, we're hoping that they leave Caledonian Braves, or if they stay, they say, I've enjoyed my time, I've absolutely loved my time, I've progressed so much in amongst Caledonian Braves, it's maybe not the time for me to progress with them, or maybe it is the time, it depends on circumstances. You know, if they want to come a competitive environment, they want to improve themselves, they want to develop, they want to learn, they want to be serious about their football in an enjoyable environment, then Cali Braves is the place for them. You know, we've got good coaches, we've got, like we just touched on, we've got a pathway towards a first team. There's a first team manager and myself that believes in youth players, believes in giving them a chance, but they've got to be able to earn it. I think Cali Braves is, you know, a really progressive club, more so than most, and I like to think that what we say about pathways and progression is definitely what we do. So, you know, for players who are already in the academy, they've got to keep believing, keep working hard, and the rewards will come. Diamonds in the sky, shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond.